exactly.
Yeah, so this cop is just being really needlessly cruel to Rambo, and because Rambo's not playing along with him and is giving him some pushback, and Rambo even asks, he's like, "Why are you pushing me like right now? Like why?
Yeah.
Like doesn't need to be a thing."
And he mentions that that he doesn't like the patch that's on his jacket, which I actually kind of found odd in a way because
it says that he served in Vietnam, right?
Right, because that's...
Well, do you know what? I actually know why that happened.
Oh, okay, great. Because I got this thing where I was like, wouldn't the cop kind of be patriotic? You know what I mean? Wouldn't he?
You would think.
You would think that he'd come across a veteran and he'd be like, thanks for helping the country, you know?
Apparently, in a longer cut of this movie...
I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah, well, here's a fascinating thing about this. The original cut of this film, 3.5 hours long.
What?
Yep, I'm not joking.
Is it alive? Is it out there? It's not?
Because Stallone apparently watched it, and he watched it in a theater. And the first thing he did is he left the theater. He called up the studio and said, "I want to buy the rights to this film from you. I'm gonna burn it."
Holy shit.
He thought that it was a career-destroying movie.
Wow.
Because of the length. And he said that that's how far he was willing to go to make sure it never saw the light of day.
Sorry, who directed this again? It was...
Ted Kotcheff.
And what else has he done? Is he known for more epic films? More long-lasting...
No, I'm pretty sure he seems to be known for Weekend
shocking.
at Bernie's. And
maybe that had an original 4-hour cut, too.
Another movie called Wake in Fright, which I haven't seen.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, either way, it seemed like they were trying... The original cut of Rambo was supposed to be like a deer hunter type situation. It was supposed to be a really big, important war epic type situation. And apparently it wasn't good. So Sylvester Stallone basically said, like, look, you're gonna cut this down, and they cut it to 90 minutes. They cut it more than in half, and released it as a straight.
Took away an entire movie, basically.
Well, and apparently they took out mostly his performance.
Oh.
They made him more of a mysterious, quiet enigma. Apparently he talks a lot more, and which makes the monologue at the end make like more sense within character. But the way that they ended up editing this, I think it really works because he's so closed off, and then all of a sudden he explodes, right?
That's kind of part to when I was saying, I was taken aback by the movie because I was so shocked at that ending monologue because I was just expecting the schlock, and then when I realized there was a bit more to it, I was like, okay. But when I saw that monologue, I mean,
it's almost from a different movie.
Yeah, exactly. It really makes the movie come together.
It reveals parts of the movie you might not have realized were there, and I think that's why this cut works, because it was clearly intended to be there.
Yeah,
and then they stripped it down so that it was just more subtle.
Yeah.
Which I think really does work for the film, and I don't know if the other footage is out there and if anyone's ever going to release it. But I think that this movie works perfectly the way that it does. But what I was going to bring up was
I think it was a good choice to cut it down.
For sure. Was that apparently there was a subplot about how the cop was in the Korean War, and that he thinks that the people who fought in the Korean War are kind of forgotten, and they've been superseded by these people who have fought in the Vietnam War. So he had sort of like an envy for Rambo's situation, that people cared more about him than they did about. And he's like, I became a cop, I came out of it, I'm fine. Like, why are you a homeless drifter? Like, screw you.
Yeah, why do you have like? So if anything, he's looking at his PTSD as a weakness in a sense.
Yeah, and I don't think he knows the extent of it until we get into the following scenes. For sure. But yeah, it makes his motivations a little bit more clear when things start to develop, because he's like I got out of there normally. Why can't this guy? Right. Because it's possible he didn't even get PTSD, right? He maybe doesn't understand at all.
Yeah, so maybe he feels that it's a strength thing. It
has weak.
Nothing to. Yeah, exactly. It has nothing to do with just the atrocity that war brings.
Yeah, and what ends up happening is that he arrests Rambo for vagrancy, which is a total bullshit, arrest.
Because he walks into the town. I mean, there's really even no proof of him being technically homeless. You know what I mean? He's been in town for 10 minutes. So
yeah, he could have easily just have got dropped off by a friend, and is going to stay in the local motel, which there's no problem
with. With a backpack, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, he gets taken into the police station, and this is one of the best scenes in the film, I think, where he's not reacting to the situation in a way like they don't the police don't understand what's happening. A lot of them because they're dumb. Some of them because they just don't. They obviously have no idea who this guy is.
Yeah.
And
some just seem very loyal to the chief himself. Like they just, it seems like the community. Well, actually, because eventually they kind of get civilians to help with the hunt and all that, and it seems like the civilians aren't necessarily, terrible people. They really trust in this this officer.